Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow's Duality, and welcome to another replay review on Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be looking at a 5v5, and today's replay review is a little bit special. It's the first one that I'm allowing somebody to do a sponsorship of. Thurnus. Thurnus and Icy are in this game, by the way. Thurnus decided to sponsor LtGenFluffy for his replay review from last month. I'm letting him redeem it because we didn't get very many last month. So here we are, and we're going to be watching LtGenFluffy play his game out here on Adaptive Onslaught. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, I want to say thank you to the patrons and channel members who make this series. It helps out a lot whenever you all support, and I want to give back as much as I can. If I can help anybody learn anything about the game, I feel it is achieving its purpose. Other than that, this Fluffy is way better than me at the game, so I might be memeing a little bit, but I will be trying to point out the good things he does, along with some things that I think that he could improve on, because anybody can improve at any time. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and bump it up to normal speed. And I'll just, one last time, Patreon link down below, join button down below, like and subscribe down below. Thank you all for supporting me, and I am so happy to do this series. So Fluffy and Thurnus, this is a map-specific thing, but generally you want to look in the middle of the map, especially on a 10-kilometer, and you need to gauge how much you value this reclaim. Some players don't value it that much, and on this map, there's some players who don't value it at all, not even really sending their comm up very early at all. But me, Thurnus, and Fluffy, Icy, a lot of the players I play with are fully in the camp of it's so much better to do factory into walk the comm. And you can see Thurnus and Fluffy having identical openers here. Factory into Walk the Comm. First two engineers are going to go ahead and build hydrocarbon. I don't know if they're going to go for the full commit for 3 engineers. I know that both of them do. I usually only commit 2 engineers, and then the third engineer goes to build mass extractors. Looks as though Thurnus commits to the 3 engineers on the hydro, and then Fluffy does my strategy that I generally do of the 2 engineers plus on hydro and rest on expanding to mexes. He's making his way to the middle. In this position, he's just going to be a little bit behind Thurnus, and going to have to keep an eye on the comm here in the middle. He also has Icy Nightmare to his north, and one thing you can start doing in your games to try and help you get a little bit better results is look who is around you. If you are a lower rated player and you're sitting next to Icy Nightmare, or you're sitting next to a 1900, or even something like you're a 1K and you're sitting next to a 1600, support them. They will, if you put resources into the higher rated players who you know are somewhat competent, especially if you play with them relatively often, if you put resources into them, they will use them at a set level. Of course, this doesn't really help you improve, but what can help you improve is supporting them not by just giving them resources, but by physically being around them with your units. Right now, Fluffy and Thurnus are going to be here in the middle. If you are this 1000 rated and you really want to help out these players, you can come to the middle. I don't recommend that on this map in particular, but just try and be thinking about how you can help out your teammates. In these team games, a lot of times it feels like it's a bunch of isolated 1v1s, but it really is a team game, and I feel like this game has more of an issue with players not cooperating with each other than most games. Just try and look for opportunities to help out your teammates. And yes, you should be selfish in some regards, but you don't always have to be selfish. Fluffy currently expanding. He's going for an air factory pretty soon, and he's getting a lot of power built up. It looks as though he's not doing a great job at spending all this reclaim he's getting in the middle. And honestly, it's hard to blame him. I would be surprised if he just overflowed. Generally, in this situation, you can throw it to another player, such as throwing it to Icy, and I know Icy would appreciate having it thrown to him. But it seems as though Fluffy has found a way to start spending it a little bit better as he gets more engineers and build power on some T2 mechs upgrades, and he's getting more factories thrown up momentarily to help him spend it as well. Gotta keep an eye on everything going on. He has some units now floating into the middle, or I guess rolling into the middle, as they are not hover, they are tanks, and that's going to be pretty useful for him. And overall, it seems as though we're going to be getting in for a slow game. The opponents didn't show up here in the middle, so Fluffy and Thurnis should definitely take the information that their opponents didn't show up with comms, did not show up to try and contest this mass. It means that you're just ahead. When you're sitting on multiple thousand reclaim each and nobody on the enemy team is even anywhere close, you are just ahead, and you can see it. Fluffy and Haley, highest mass generation in the game. From here, you can play you do not need to complicate the game. You can make the game very simple. You can keep ecoing and build units, and generally, as long as you get about the same number of factories as your opponent, which you can do by just scouting, you're gonna be okay. Just keep up your factory count and keep ecoing, and you're gonna make the game a lot easier on yourself. You're gonna hit later tier units a lot faster. Playing a quick tech kind of build would be very good, especially, as I said, in this situation where your opponent just doesn't respect you and doesn't come for the reclaim in the middle. Oh yeah, just take it and run with it. You're gonna have so much more income. Like, already, both Thurnis and Fluffy have such a high income right now that as long as they continue to upgrade their eco normally and get out units, they're just in an advantageous position. There's no reason for them to do anything complicated, no reason to go for something silly like a snipe, no reason to do some kind of desperate strategy. I see a lot of people who will get ahead and then go for a snipe or invest something heavily into like getting like some kind of weird unit composition that if they had just gone with a normal unit composition and continued to eco and not thrown everything into units, they would have won. But they lose because they don't do weird shit. Just do normal shit. If you get more reclaim than your opponents, fucking throw it into eco. Turn the temporary eco that is reclaim into permanent eco, and you'll be a much happier person. So Fluffy is not seemingly expanding to the high ground over here, these two plateaus. Usually you'll see Icy and Fluffy taking these plateaus right here. I wonder what the reason for that is. Down here to the south, it seems as though one of the opponents have control K'd. And with your opponent control K'ing, it's a bit of an awkward situation. Because on this map in particular, I'm pretty sure it's full share, and that's most likely going to be going to Big Bang, who's managed to get a lot of eco very quickly. I guess it did go to him because you can see right here. You know what? We'll just check. That's how he has so much eco, isn't it? Yeah. So now you know that your opponent, the 1800, has two bases. That means you should try and put pressure on this southern side, and I'm sure right now that the team is screaming at Gleam right now, like, go down there and destroy some of the ecos. Don't let him just sit there and turtle. And going for a gun speed and range upgrade, I haven't mentioned it because he's been doing a very good job about it. He's been balancing his eco very well. Right now with this gun speed and range, I think it'd be better if he could just definitely pause the T2 mech upgrades and pause factory production until it's done. This power stall I think is avoidable. You're making 460 power a second. It's only 280. Yeah, this is an avoidable power stall. You just need to pause production. It seems as though he's working on it, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if power stalling through this is the right call, because, like, sure, he still wants units, but if you pause this, you get the upgrade sooner and you're stalling for much less time. The power stall goes away as I guess he ran out of mass, but even then, I'd much rather just pause the factories and get that extra mass income for this. It does seem as though it's stabilizing. Maybe an upgrade or two is finishing on mexes, or some engineers have stopped building, or there's some reclaim going on. But this is the first time I'm looking up here at the eco bar and kind of scratching my head, wondering what he's doing. He is going to get assistance from Thurnis, but if you're going to ask for assistance and you want this to be a very quick upgrade, just pause your factories momentarily. Of course, it's 8 p.m. and sometimes it's not so apparent, and you're like, oh well, maybe I can just stall through it. But I think stalling through something is the earlier in the game it is, the less justifiable it is to stall through an upgrade or stall through building something. And in my opinion, just because of the earlier in the game you go, the more impactful that is, because the game very much so snowballs. You fall behind by an inch now, it turns into a mile later. And you have to kind of do these things. You have to either set back your opponent when you're behind or other things. So stalling in general, just of course you're trying to avoid it, and I'm trying to give you tips for avoiding it. If you're stalling during an upgrade, try and pause either the upgrade and use engineers to help upgrade it, or pause some production. He's up to T2 land, and he's going to be producing some engineers, and then 75 Ilshivas. That's a very specific number, but you have to respect it. I think that was 75. Yeah, it looks like 75 Ilshivas, and a very specific number, but I respect it. And he's fighting over here to the southwest. He's fighting up against Full Metal. That's gonna be all right for him, I suppose. Doesn't seem like too horrible a matchup. And overall, Fluffy is kind of just doing what you'd expect. Over here, Icy got these two mass extractors. I wonder how he got them. Did he drop over here? That's actually interesting. Normally, I would say Fluffy would normally take these, but I'm guessing he was on comms with Icy, and Icy was like, I'll take them, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, Icy, you can have them if you want them. I still don't know how he got up here to build them, but interesting nonetheless. Does he have a transporter sitting around? I'm sure he has an air factory. He doesn't have an air factory. Can you cliff build these, like, with the comm? Oh, man, I don't know why I'm so caught up on that, but still. Fluffy decides to send a T2 engineer to the front to start building tactical missile defense way up here in the front. On this map, I'm a bit torn. I usually do like to get it up here, but I've noticed that, like, this protects you from two of the players, and the other players who are down here can very easily tac missile you, because it just, the further forward you build your tac missiles, the more you're gonna, or tac missile defense, the more you're gonna need. So I generally like to start off with a tac missile defense like right here where he has it, and right here, and then I'll build one right up here just to protect those two mexes. That's my general plan. Down here to the south, he has his comm now upgraded with that gun speed and range. He helped Thurnus get gun speed and range himself. So they're down here, they're pushing on to paint thinner, and they're trying to get a setup to where their team can put more pressure out on the field. They don't want to let Big Bang sit back and eco up this entire time. And I'm sure Big Bang still has that. I'm surprised that Big Bang sitting on two bases has less eco than some of the players on Team 1. But overall, Fluffy has been aggressive with the comm. He's gotten a few kills, or no, he hasn't gotten any kills on it. Fluffy being moral support for Thurnus. He's kind of just set back. He hasn't really been aggressive or gotten a ton done. He is ecoing, but he's not ecoing as hard as some other players. He's kind of just playing middle of the pack right now. He's not really on top of the scoreboards in any capacity. The good news is he's at T2 land, which is very strong for Seraphim. And he's going to be able to set up a strong push very soon with all of the units he's getting. Personally, I think at this point you get rid of this factory, which is for some reason going T2. Why this one go to T2? I'm not sure about the reasoning behind sending that one to T2 versus any of the others, but still. Over here to the south, there are some gunships coming in for Thurnus Haley. And I know I'm kind of reverting to type by just kind of casting this match just with half vision. But the important thing to know about this is if this dies, I know for a fact that if Icy gets it, and he will, since he's the highest eco on the team, and the highest score right now is going to be Icy Nightmare after Thurnus. If Thurnus dies right here, the base is going to be given over to Fluffy. You'll see it'll go to Icy very momentarily. Icy will give it to Fluffy. Icy doesn't like managing disjointed bases, and I know that that information's privileged, but he plays with Icy enough, and he's on voice comms with Icy, I'm sure. So he knows he's going to have this double base, and he needs to start preparing, because it's a different factions base. And as I said, you'll see it. I haven't watched this match before, by the way. I literally haven't. I don't watch these matches that I replay review before I watch them, because I just want to give my initial reaction. I don't want to sit here and make notes. So here's a good thing that you can do. This is a good tip for anybody. If you die and your base is given to somebody, do this. Ping things that you are working on. Let them know what the state of your base is. Nobody's going to just be able to take a glance at it and notice everything. So ping things like that. It's a 30% T3 mech upgrade. Ping it. And now you can see that Fluffy far and ahead the strongest eco in the game. He is in a very strong position now, and he needs to carry. When this happens to you, you need to carry. It's just like the Duelist. I was talking with him. The Duelist should have been the carry in that last replay review we covered, and I know that I shouldn't be referencing them, and it should all be contained within one video, but still, I think that video is very good if you want to go check it out. But when you're put in a position where you're going to get, or you immediately get, or you should get a double base setup, you need to have the mentality of, I need to carry this. I need to have a plan to end this game within the next 15 minutes, because you're in one of the strongest positions you can be. You have so much consolidated eco, and sure, you may not even have the eco advantage over your opponents. In this case, Fluffy does, but you having that much eco consolidated means that your projects will be done faster, because you can really focus on getting these mexes to T3, and that's what Fluffy is doing right now. He has heavy assistance on getting mexes to T3, and he's spending all of his mass. He has multiple factories going. He has his Cybern factory, the Cybern HQ that belonged to Thurnis, going T3. I'm assuming that this is going to either be because he wants bricks, or because he wants an experimental, probably the Monkey Lord. Those are the two reasons that he would go for a Cybern T3 over the Seraphim. He's partial to the Seraphim, and he plays a lot of Seraphim, so that's why I would think he'd go for the Seraphim and maybe go for a chicken or something. The brick is just better, so I get the reasoning there, and you need to make those decisions for yourself, because it does matter. The differences between the factions are minute, but if you're going to be trying to win based off land, it's probably better to go with a Cybern or UEF land force than the Seraphim one, except for maybe experimentals, because the chicken is a very good experimental. But he is focusing on it, and he's trying to get a lot done. He has a lot of base to manage now, and he's doing a lot to manage it right now. He got unit production up again immediately in all of the factories, except for the air factory. He's got his units over here on the west side. He's going to push out. He's going to try and help Icy Nightmare, who's getting pushed heavily. And he wants to keep an eye on this flank. He wants to keep an eye on what's going on over here. He does have his interceptors out, which is very good. He's trying to screen for his teammate. There's a strat bomber coming in on the western side to try and help out Icy. But he should notice that Icy is just outnumbered. And even though Icy has a few ranks of vet from probably sniping some of the various mass extractors with missile pack upgrade. I think that's what he has. Yeah, he has tactical missile. He's known for that. He's just dead. He didn't have any units to deal with this, so Big Bang is going to kill Icy Nightmare. And right now, when you glance over at this and you notice that he's dead, and you need to be paying attention to the map, especially when you have this much, you need to start zooming out. You got to play zoomed out. You got to learn to play zoomed out first. It's very difficult to play zoomed out, but you have to learn how to do it. The further out you can play, the further zoomed out you can play, the more you'll notice. So now he needs to be playing pretty much like this. Like, this needs to be the most he zooms in. If I had to guess about Fluffy, he probably doesn't zoom in much more than this for almost the rest of the game. This is about where I try and sit whenever I have multiple bases and I'm trying to think about it. So I'm sure they're in voice comms and they're talking about stuff, but right now, Fluffy has 300 mass a second. He has enough for any experimental in the game he wants other than the game enders. He just got T3, and he's going to get up a T3 engineer, and he has a bunch of bricks queued up after 7 T3 engineers. That's going to be pretty good for him. Is he going to be going for another T3? He's going for T3 UEF because he wants to hold this northwestern flank. He lost a lot of units here, and he's kind of reeling from having to manage multiple bases, but Right now, it's all about staying calm and making decisions and making them quickly. And as I said in the last one, having a plan. When the second you notice that he's going to die, and as I said, you should be noticing things like that happening on the map. You need to play more zoomed out if that's something you would have never noticed. And also, when somebody dies, you need to check if the base went to you. But when you notice that Icy dies, you need to have a plan for his base immediately and just focus on getting that plan up and running. Right now, he's sending his comm up to this northwestern side. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, but I'm sure it's intentional. I would guess it's... No, he's trying to send it to the pond. This pond is a bit wonky. I'm sure I'll get into it. This is a good call. Whenever you're managing all these bases and you're the highest rated player left on your team, put your comm somewhere safe. And, but you need to have a plan for this base, and it seems as though Fluffy had a vague idea of what he wanted to do. He goes for the T3 land factory. He's gonna get it passively. He doesn't need to rush it. And down here in the central base, he's gonna be going for a monkey. And currently, he's banking almost enough for that monkey. He's banking enough that he could throw almost any number of engineers on this monkey, and as long as he has the power, he will build the monkey at max speed. So he needs to just continue focusing on this, and as I said, you have to play a bit more zoomed out now. He needs to keep an eye on this flank. He doesn't have enough units here just to outright win it, especially with that gun comm over there for Big Bang, but he does need to keep units posturing forward, make his opponent stay honest, make his opponent think before just walking forward and killing off all of these forward mass extractors that formerly belonged to Icy. He also needs to hold this middle area against purple, full metal. He needs to just keep on. He needs to keep presence pretty much everywhere, but he currently does not have the production set up or just the sheer number of units to hold everywhere. So he needs to just make the enemy think for a little bit before doing anything. Needs to buy time. Now, Big Bang, I think, is realizing that he just has enough to win this northern side, and I think he's probably about to push very soon, and maybe even ask his ally Full Metal to help him out. But down here on the southern side, it seems as though the base has been gifted over. No, it wasn't gifted over. The base still belonging to Big Bang, and Fluffy sitting on such a huge eco right now. It's starting to get to the point where, yeah, he's gonna need to get more production very soon, because I think he's running out of mass extractors to upgrade. He's still spending a fuck ton of mass by upgrading all of these mexes, but he's getting close to 400 mass a second, and you can afford a lot of unit production with 400 mass a second. And I think that people who get multiple bases and then sit back and try and like turtle for a game ender, I think that's the wrong call. I think the only turtling you should be doing is build a SMD. But when you go watch the very high rated players, what they do when they get multiple bases, even here at like the 20-minute mark, they usually aren't going for a game ender or for some super expensive all-in strategy. They're doing stuff like this, and this is what you can learn from. They're getting a metric fuck ton of units, and they're putting them everywhere they can. Everywhere they can manage to have units and maybe, just maybe, get a land advantage against any of the opponents, they're gonna do it. And right now, it's mainly Ilshava's, but here soon, it's gonna be a fuck ton of bricks. And whenever they scout, they can see that nobody on the enemy team really has the eco to compete with brick spam right now. Nobody has the eco to really deal with this monkey lord as long as he has air cover. So and I think he realizes that. He goes for T3 air. He realizes that this monkey can be a game-winning play if he can protect it. There's nothing on the ground to deal with it. All he has to do is protect against the air threat. And he goes for his own T3 air, and he heavily assists the production of it. And he may not get enough to outright win air, but he'll get enough to fight off the air units that threaten the monkey, as long as his teammate helps him, as long as Healthy Core comes up with him. The Monkey Lord completes, and it's kind of important where he decides to throw this, and it seems as though he thinks he has enough units over here to support it, so he's going to go to the north and go against Big Bang, and here in the south is where he's going to send all of his bricks. I like this call. So right now, he knows that nobody on the enemy team can really deal on the ground, like just in a ground fight, nobody on the enemy team can deal with the monkey or the bricks. So he's deciding to separate them. And it's a brick loyalist combo. Loyalist just to deal with the spam and to give that nice EMP. But once he has all of these bricks and loyalists producing, what he can pretty easily do is just throw them down here and say, hey, you need to deal with this. That way nobody down here in the south can help with this. It also taxes Big Bang more, because as long as he attacks at the same time as the Monkey Lord, when the Monkey Lord shows up, Big Bang not only has to deal with the attack from the north, he has to deal with this down here, because it's going to attack him first. This is why I think Icy really likes to hand over bases if they aren't right next to him. Because fighting this multiple front thing, you can see that Big Bang's just doing a lackluster job down here on the southern side. Even though he's a decent player, he's not a bad player. He's just, it's difficult to manage these two different sides of the map whenever there's this large gap you're not managing in the middle. And Fluffy was fortunate in that the way he got his bases, he started right here in the middle. He got this middle base, got it set up and running properly, and then Icy died, and he got this base over here to the north. And that's really helped him out. I like this. Icy, this is just another random thing about this map in particular, but Icy is doing this wall thing every single time. I didn't like it at first because I normally play like this position whenever Icy's here, and I hate not being able to send units north if he's being attacked. But it's so useful for when your middle player collapses. And overall right now, we're kind of just waiting. One thing that I'm hoping Fluffy doesn't do, and it doesn't seem like Fluffy's going to do it, is attacking before the experimental shows up, whenever there's no reason to. Right now, it does look as though he can win the attack if he goes forward. So it makes a little bit of sense, but if you wait for the Monkey Lord, I feel it's more beneficial. But maybe he's just going to be a bit impatient. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And right now, as I said, this is about as zoomed in as you want to be. I would be surprised if Fluffy is probably doing stuff like this. Like, he's just selecting large groups of units and moving them in a vague direction. He maybe even did something like this, where he clicked them to come towards each other. But now he's attacking on this northern side with this overwhelming force that he has. He has a Monkey Lord showing up in the background. It just got spotted. The question is this attack too premature? Should he have waited for the Monkey Lord? I personally think, yeah, you probably should wait for the Monkey Lord. I mean, your opponents aren't in the stage of the game where they're building their own experimental yet. Nobody on the enemy team can afford one in a reasonable amount of time. You've scouted their ecos, you can see it. The only player who could maybe do it is the air player, who I'm not going to say his name because fuck you, that's childish. And he is going for a Monkey Lord, but if you're winning land this hard, I don't think it matters. Like, I guess he is winning the battle, so if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. But I think waiting for the Monkey Lord, there was no downside, and he would have lost less units. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and if you want to go debate that in the comments, feel free. I'm not the end-all be-all. I'm not the greatest source. I'm not even a good player. I can just tell you why you're losing. Generally, I'm pretty good at assessing the cause of your loss and the cause of your win. The cause of the win here is Fluffy. Whenever Fluffy got multiple bases, he reacted properly. He could have reacted very poorly and not thrown it into eco, not had a plan. His plan was T3 land units and a Monkey Lord. That's a perfectly fine plan. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just have one. And stick to it. And it will really help you out. Alright. Over here in the middle, a lot of these land units he had, his land force is starting to diminish, but there's nothing on the ground anymore for his opponents. The ground game has just been absolutely eviscerated. It's been annihilated. There's nothing left here to really oppose this Monkey Lord, other than maybe the Monkey Lord being built up by the air player who is childish. And as I said, he started attacking up here. He also attacked down here in the south, and he got support from Gleam. Gleam doing a good job supporting Fluffy's units with his own. And now Big Bang there was no way to react on both flanks. He won both flanks pretty much on his own because he correctly assessed that if all of his T2 units and the Monkey Lord are on one side, they can't deal with that. And if all of his T3 units are on the other side, that side can't deal with that either. So he could win both sides simultaneously. He uses the Monkey Lord here to kill off the comm of Big Bang. And he can continue to move southeasternly into the base. At this point, the question is, do you keep on going for killing off the comms? And I think at this point, since you can see Full Metal here, this is Super BM. You just gotta kill him. He's also one of the higher rated players on the enemy team. Not that there's any low rated players left on the enemy team. Paint Thinner seemingly died at some point. I don't know if he died or Control K'd. Very likely a Control K, honestly. And overall, you have to decide if you're going to go for the comms or if you're just going to go for the eco. At this point, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to give you thoughts. Like if you kill off somebody over here, you have an experimental, and there's a chance they kill it in a reasonable amount of time. It might be better to just kill off all the eco of that player you were against, especially in a full share game. But the Monkey Lord's going to continue to push forward into the base of the last player left on Team 2. And Fluffy has won the game. Both of the replay reviews that have come out so far, and there's more to come. I did get a few more submitted to me. But both so far have been won by using Monkey Lords, which is pretty interesting. Monkey Lord supremacy, anybody? And yeah, here we go. Target priority set to ACU. You can see you saw the thing down there. That's the advanced target priorities mod. And oh my god, he finished his Monkey Lord but sent it out for some reason. Oh man, he could have saved himself, but he didn't. And with that, I'd like to thank you to the patrons. You all are beautiful. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more. Dislike if you didn't like it. If you have any advice or if you want any changes to this replay review series, please let me know. If there's anything you want me to discuss, let me know. As I said, this is trying to just be informative and give you a little bit more educational thing, something for you all to watch, something for you all to learn from, rather than my casts, which are more entertainment focused. But with that out of the way, see you in the next one. Consider joining the Patreon or channel membership. Bye-bye!